Hello parents. Today I'm going to talk with you about some of the important skills that we are building in the piece Shh, Shh. For starters, violin hold. You want to make sure your child is holding their instrument comfortably on their shoulder, hands free when we practice. When we're actually playing a piece, I do like to have the student put their hand on the instrument. That way when we get distracted paying attention to the bow, the left hand's there to support it. If your child is struggling with the violin hold, you may want to review games we've been doing, such as Now I Hold My Violin. First important thing was violin hold. Our next step to notice is the bow hold. We have been building this in games such as Five Little Fingers and Sleepy Snakes. You want to make sure the pinky is round on top, not straight, not like that. The center fingers, sometimes called the hugger fingers, or in the game we do for bow hold, Sleepy Snakes, just hanging over relaxed, not up here, not squeezing like that. Give the pointer finger a wave, let it just fall where it's comfortable. Most of your children are holding the bow with what we call the outside thumb. Thumb half on the silver, half on the hair. And make sure we've got a nice little bump right here on the thumb. It's good to go back and review your bow hold games long after you're playing pieces. It's still good to work on that skill. The next important thing is being able to set the arm at the square. So here is me setting at my arm square on the E string. If you can see, I've put a clip on my bow. Between my bow and my forearm and my upper arm, you see kind of a square shape. Then the next thing is to be able to open from the elbow. I'm just going to start here at the square and open and close. And I'm not going to go close past here. I'm just going to close back to a square. So being able to open and close from the elbow is very important. Because if you don't open from the elbow, this is what you get. And a crooked bow does not make for good sound. Another challenging skill we're building is the ability to stay on one string at a time. Often when I teach this song, I start students on the second phrase, which stays on the E string, because the E string is easier to play without bumping other strings. When they get over to the A string, you'll have to listen extra hard and help them hear the difference between just A, or when their hand's a little too high and they're bumping A and D, or they didn't move enough and they're on A and E still. It's important to help with that, to know the process we go through mechanically with the arm to change strings. When we are on the E string and want to move to the A, it's best to lead with the hand and let everything else follow. If you lead with the elbow, you're going to end up like that. Then when you're on the A and want to move to the E, lead with the elbow and let the hand and the bow follow, because otherwise, again, if you lead with the hand going that way, you get the chicken wing, which we don't need when we're playing violin. To refresh, on the E string, lift the hand and let everything else follow to rock to the A string. Never lifting off the string, just rocking. Then when you're on the A, gently lead with the elbow to rock back to the E. Another important skill we're building here is awareness of tone quality. I will make a second video about tuna tone, which we've talked about in your lessons. But just a refresher, we want a nice, clear, strong sound, which we'll get from just making sure we have a good connection. And then move, stop and relax, stop and relax. Just a nice, strong, clear tone. Inhibitory control. This is part of executive function, the ability to control some of our natural responses and reflexes and choose what we do. Very often children, once they get going, They don't want to stop. And this piece makes them practice stopping and controlling themselves over and over and over again. E, E, sh, sh, E, E, hold still. E, E, don't move. E, E, be still. This leads to the musical skill of being able to play something and keep a steady pulse. In the demonstration video I'll make for them to practice along with, you'll see how we keep that steady pulse, etc. Now, just as you may be feeling a little bit overwhelmed with all the information I just gave you, your child will also feel overwhelmed if you try to focus on all of this at once with them. It's best to focus on one thing at a time. I've introduced these points in a hierarchical order of what I feel is the most important progression of skills. My recommendation to you is start with one thing, like the violin hold, and let everything else kind of go. Maybe correct it a little bit if needed, but don't pick on it too much. Once your child has comfort with holding the violin, then you can focus on bow hold and etc. through the different steps. Watch for my other videos coming out soon, and thank you for being such a great support to your child learning to play violin at home.